Jim Jones was detained for attacking Chrissy Lampkin in a vicious manner. Give it a moment to settle in. Jim Jones, who has been strutting about like hip-hop royalty, flexing in fancy clothing, and talking untouchable in interviews, is suddenly sitting in handcuffs and appears more like the star of a true crime show than a rap legend. But hold on, how did we end up here? What transpired behind those doors that made a flamboyant rap artist the year's biggest story? Above all, is this the scandal that finally reveals all Jim has been attempting to conceal for more than 10 years? Consider it. This is the man who, like Neo in The Matrix, evaded marriage offers. This is the same man who used reality TV as his own personal fighting ring. Yet he always managed to appear like the calm, composed hustler. Well, not anymore. Since Jim's music, jewelry, and way of life aren't the talk of the town tonight. They're talking about neighbors phoning 911, police sirens, and shattered glass. What actually took place in the house? Why is Chrissy Lampkin once more at the epicenter of trouble? This narrative is just getting started, so have a seat. Go right to the point. Because this isn't just another on-camera celebrity dispute. This type of story raises questions about how much of what we've been watching on TV was true and how much was merely a ticking time bomb. Jim Jones's Dipset's own dazzling general from Harlem. The man who enjoys reminding people that he is untouchable now appears quite touchable, and the individual who ultimately ended his impenetrable deed. Chrissy Lampkin, who has been his theater partner for more than 10 years. The name is familiar to you. The face is familiar to you. And you understand why this relationship has always been a powder keg if you've ever turned on hip-hop and love. Let's go back a moment. The toxic reality TV romance's ideal coupling has been Jim and Chrissy. Do you recall when Chrissy proposed to Jim in front of millions of people because he was unable to commit? That moment was hardly a fairy tale. Years of side-eye conflicts and never-ending will-they-won't-they debates began with that. Jim continued to act as though commitment was his worst enemy throughout it all. Chrissy attempted to pull him into the stable realm. Unfortunately, that didn't work. Now, fast forward to the present, and all of a sudden, wedding bells and engagement rings are out of the question. We're discussing a man who was recently the subject of a mugshot, flashing police lights, and a broken living room. Rumor has it that yet another dispute was the catalyst for the situation. This couple's relationship is nothing new, but this time it went awry. Oh, the entire Hollywood thriller soundtrack, as well as yelling, glass shattering, and door slamming, was purportedly heard by the neighbors. When the police showed up, Chrissy was trembling. Jim was furious, and the event appeared more like a battlefield than a romantic argument. And let's face it, this wasn't an unexpected development. For years, Jim has been living on the brink. There's no denying that the dude enjoys showing off. Designer drip, diamond chains, flashy vehicles, and that attitude from Harlem. However, the rumors have always been the same behind the curtain. Financial difficulties, dubious business dealings, and a temper that burns hotter than lighter fluid. However, as Jim continues to act like a rap star, Chrissy has been attempting to keep the house together. Guess what? It's still 2006. According to sources, Chrissy finally lost it this time. She criticized him for his money problems, the disappearance of funds, and his constant pattern of poor choices. Jim didn't only respond verbally either. He supposedly went above and beyond. Therefore, the police weren't entering a peaceful discourse that had gone awry when they barged in. They were entering a period of years of stress, animosity, and unfulfilled promises that would blow up in their faces. Jim was unable to use charm or talk his way out of it this time. He found himself in handcuffs, looking forward to a future. That resembles court dates more than rap fame. The worst part, though, is that this is when things start to get crazy. I promise. The arrest was only the first step. Because the internet did what it always does when that mugshot was released. It went really crazy, and that's precisely where we continue. The mugshot quickly rose to prominence as the week's most popular meme. The internet exploded rather than merely reacting. Threads on Twitter took off like wildfire. Jim's face was covered in clown emojis on Instagram stories. Additionally, TikTok producers were already acting out the battle that was heard in Harlem. Fans were yelling, "Chrissy, run!" on one side, "Get rid of this man for good." Some ardent Jim patrons, on the other hand, said the media was exaggerating, and that it was simply another nasty romantic feud that would end in a week. Let's be honest though, this was no longer only rumor. With police files, eyewitness accounts, and leaked information that presented an unpleasant image, this was a full-fledged criminal case. According to rumors circulating inside the department, investigators discovered evidence of a physical confrontation, according to anonymous sources who naturally surface whenever drama breaks out. The police weren't teasing, but Chrissy didn't even want to file charges. If they believe there is sufficient evidence in a domestic matter, they do not require the victim to sign documents. And they believed there was more than enough this time. Thus, Jim is dealing with more than simply negative press. He faces serious legal repercussions that might ruin his remaining career. This is where things become even more complicated. Jim's team should support him, shouldn't they? False. Suddenly, some of his closest friends and coworkers who used to yell "Dipset forever" were silent. In the industry, quiet is a verdict, not simply a statement. When your own people refuse to defend you, it indicates that they have knowledge, and that knowledge is bad. Other rappers and celebrities, meanwhile, chipped in with their 15-second opinion. While some criticized Jim harshly, stating they had anticipated this for years, others praised him, arguing that the media likes to disparage black males, not to mention the trolls. They had a field day, I see. Jones, the untouchable Jim, looks like the only thing he's dodging now is bail payments, one tweet said. However, this went beyond celebrity rumors and jokes. If you look a bit closer, you might uncover rumors of financial turmoil stoking the flames. Jim has reportedly been drowning in debt, going overboard with failing business endeavors, and engaging in extravagant spending sprees to maintain appearances. While Jim continues to pursue a lifestyle that no longer exists, Chrissy is said to have been keeping the financial cords tied together, paying the bills and maintaining her reputation. Thus, it was more than simply feelings when the altercation broke out. It was about Chrissy being tired of being the financial babysitter. Years of pent-up rage and money disappearing more quickly than a die-pet reunion tour. And if you believe the narrative ends there, you should reconsider. Because fresh stories began to surface precisely when everyone believed that this was just another toxic couple's argument that would end. The prosecution was no longer only considering a domestic dispute allegation. According to sources, if increased charges are considered, the situation may get more serious. Jim isn't anticipating a slap on the wrist if that occurs. He faces severe legal issues that might result in real jail time. This is where the plot takes its most sinister turn so far: the increased fees. What started out as rumors of a marital conflict has now grown into something that prosecutors are examining very seriously. Reports state that further evidence has emerged. Not just any proof either. We're referring to possible inside-the-house security. Footage that may purport to document the exact sequence of the altercation. It's accurate. The story cannot be fabricated if there is video evidence of Jim becoming irate. He said, she said, don't blame the media. Don't make claims. That is concrete proof that may be the last nail in the coffin of Jim Jones's reputation and the consequences. Already, it's harsh. It has been reported that Chrissy Lampkin has finally had enough. She is allegedly leaving for good after more than 10 years of waiting for her wedding, answering unanswered questions, resolving arguments in public, and getting drawn into Jim's pandemonium. She's not only emotionally checked out, according to sources, she is taking legal action to keep her money apart from Jim's. Consider that. These two have been involved in several business endeavors together despite not having a marriage license. And Chrissy's assurance that her funds are secure makes one point very evident. She's finished. However, the mayhem doesn't end there. At this point, the industry is abandoning Jim. Deals are being backed out by business partners. Sponsors don't want this type of controversy associated with their brand. Additionally, he is losing followers on social media from some of his closest pals. Silence is bad in the rap game, but unfollowing is better. It is being executed in public. The Harlem hustler who used to carry himself like a boss is suddenly standing by himself, seeing doors slam in his face more quickly than he can comprehend what is happening. That's what's taking place. In the meantime, he is being torn apart by the internet. This poisonous behavior is not new, as evidenced by memes about his mugshot picture, threads resurrecting old rumors about his rage, and even the reappearance of old love and hip-hop videos. Everybody has an opinion, even trolls and past partners, and the majority of them are not positive. While some contend that Chrissy ought to have moved on years ago, others say that this is karma coming full circle. Jim is supposedly preparing to do a candid interview to defend himself in the midst of all of this chaos. But let's face it, with the mugshot photo already going viral, how much can an interview fix? Both the restraining order and the charges have already been filed, and are now faced with inquiries that go beyond the typical gossip cycle. Will Jim Jones be sentenced to prison? Will Chrissy eventually move on and start over without the man who has been bringing her down for years? Above all, is this the controversy that formally puts a stop to Jim Jones's career, since he has already faced adversity? However, the walls are rapidly closing in this time. The industry, the internet, and the streets are all keeping an eye on things. As it is, Jim Jones appears more like a cautionary story playing out in real time than a legendary figure. What are your thoughts? Is this the last nail in Jim Jones's coffin, or will he somehow escape this scandal? This narrative is far from done, so please share your ideas in the comments section. Make sure you like, subscribe, and keep an eye out for the next shocking disclosure if you want to know the true story behind the mayhem.